Hey everybody, welcome to the Chapter 5 Unit 6 review. I of course am going to do everything on the left hand side and then you'll do everything on the right hand side, and hopefully there'll be good examples to work from. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. The first one is just multiplying, so if I'm multiplying two terms, I'm going to start off with just this part. So if I'm multiplying two terms by two other terms, I should get four terms. So distribute everything. This makes x squared, this makes minus 4x, this makes 3x, this makes negative 12. I'd write small on these problems. There's not a lot of room to write on a lot of these, and that's just because I'm trying to cram so much information in to one review. Alright, so once you multiply two terms out, then repeat the process multiplying by the third term. So this is going to be x to the third. This is going to be 2x squared. This is going to be minus x squared minus 2x. Then this is going to be minus 12x. And then minus, what is this? 24. So let's combine like terms and write our final answer. So we have x to the third, and then these two would combine, and then these two would combine. So that's going to make plus x squared minus 14x minus 24. And that's our final answer. Looking at number 2, it's pretty much the same thing, just I changed the exponents around. So let's see here. What's 2 times 5? That's 10. What's x to the third times x to the second? You add the powers, that's going to become x to the fifth power. All right? So this is going to be minus 2x to the fourth power. And then the last one is going to become minus 2x to the third power. And now I'm going to repeat the process, going negative 5 times 5x to the third. So that'll be negative 25x to the third. This will be turned into positive 5x squared. And then this will turn into positive 5x. And so we'll just circle my like terms, which are these two x to the thirds. And yeah, that's pretty much all that can combine looking at this. So my final answer will be 10x to the fifth minus 2x to the fourth. Looks like that'll turn into minus 27x to the third. And this will turn into, it'll just stay plus 5x squared plus 5x. Remember, only add things if they have the same letter and the same exponent. Okay? And that's how you know you can combine them with addition or subtraction. Okay? I'm going to make this 4 look a bit more like an exponent. Alright, so that was number 2. Okay, so number 3 is a cube of a binomial pattern. You're going to do the sum one, obviously, because it's a plus sign. So you have a is equal to 3x and b is equal to 5. And by the way, this is something that you might want to write down on your note card. But yeah, just plug everything into this pattern. So I'm going to say if a is more than one term, which it's 3 and x combined, so it's going to be in parentheses, 3x to the third plus 3 times a squared, so 3x squared times b, which is 5, plus 3ab, so that's 3 times 3x times 5, and it says 3ab squared, so 5 is squared. Alright, and then it says plus b to the third, so plus 5 to the third. So as long as you have 3x in parentheses, you'll end up properly distributing that power, so that's going to become 27x to the third, not 3x to the third. This will become 27x squared. Oh no, I'm sorry. It's 27 times 5. So 27 times 5 is 135, so it'll be 135x squared. And then you have 3 times 3x times 5 squared, so that's 25 times 9x. And 25 times 9x would make 225x. And then 5 to the third power would be 125. And that's it. That's the answer to number 3. Okay? So moving on, number 4 is just a subtraction problem. So distribute that negative if there's a minus sign. If it's a plus sign, absolutely nothing will change. You'll see two things are in parentheses. Just make sure you add like terms and don't add something with a non-like term. But if I were to rewrite this, it's minus x to the fourth, turns into minus 5x to the third, turns into plus 3x squared, plus 6x minus 8. All right, so now let's just add like terms. Is there anything to the fifth power? No, there's not. So it's just going to say x to the fifth. And then what's next in line? The fourth power. So it's going to say minus x to the fourth. And then is there anything to the third power? Yes, there is. We have minus 3x to the third and minus 5x to the third. So that'll make minus 8x to the third. And do we have anything squared? We have 2x squared, 3x squared. So that's 5x squared. Do we have anything to the just x? We have this plus 6x on the side, so plus 6x. And then we have, of course, 1 and minus 8, so that'll make minus 7. And that right there is the final answer to number 4. Okay, so looking at number 5, it says factor 8x to the third plus 81. So I went ahead and I screen grabbed the notes from that section. Again, something you might want to write down on your note card. If you don't know your perfect cubes, type this into your graph and press Control-T and look those up. But this is the sum of two cubes pattern. Okay, it couldn't hurt to memorize this as well. After all, it is almost the same thing. It just this one goes plus, minus, plus. This one goes minus, plus, plus. But you need to write this in terms of two cubes. So this is going to be 2x to the third because 2 cubed is 8. And then 81 expressed as a cube. Sorry, not 81. It should say 27. 81 is a fourth power. That was a mental error by me. So it'll say 27 on your paper if you're one of my students. So this is going to be 2x to the third plus 3x to the third. So that's A, that's B. So it's going to say A plus B times A squared minus AB plus B squared. So A plus B, 2x plus 3 times A squared. So that's 2x squared minus, and that's going to say AB, so 2x times 3, and then it'll say plus B squared, so 3 squared, all right, and now we just need to simplify what we can simplify. So 2x plus 3 will stay the same, and then 2x squared will become 4x squared because you have to distribute that power, and this will become minus 6x, and this will become plus 9, and that'll be my final answer. Okay, and that's it. See how it looks like this at the end? And yeah, that's really all there's to say about that. Let's move on to number 6. So number 6, you have to type this into the graphing calculator, and then to get your your local mins and maxes, you'll have to remember it's basically menu 6, and then it's either going to be 2 or 3 depending on what you're looking for. But yeah, that's something to write down on the note card. Menu, then 6, then 2 or 3. Okay, so right here, this is my local max. I'll just put L max. This is my local min. I'll put L min. All right, and then I am asking you to identify the intervals increasing. So it is increasing coming from the left side, and then it hits the local max, and then it decreases and hits the local min, and then it increases again, presumably forever. So how do you say that? So my increasing interval is going to say it's coming from negative infinity because it's coming from the left-hand side, and it stops and turns at -2. Remember, it's only the x-coordinates. And then I'm going to look at only the x-coordinate of that local min, and I'm going to say it's going to go from 0, and then it's just going to head up and then to the right. Since we're just concerned with the x-coordinates, to the right is positive infinity. And that's my increasing interval. My decreasing interval, well, it turned and went down from -2, and then it turned again at 0. And that's my decreasing interval. Okay, so looking at this, you should be able to determine, if I give you the function, you should be able to determine definitely what the degree is and what the leading coefficient is. So the degree here, well, that's just the highest power. So the degree is 3. And the leading coefficient, that's the number in front of x to the third. There is no number in front of it, so we know it's 1. And so 3 is odd, and the leading coefficient is positive. And that's really the most important thing, is it odd or even, and is it positive or negative? Okay, and because that will tell you your end behavior. And so if you don't have like that memorized or anything, look at your notes. I believe it's in 5.2. And it looked like this right here. So, which one is it? Well, we have, sorry for the technical difficulties. The screen got stuck. So, I was talking and alluding to something that you weren't looking at. This is what I was talking about. If the degree is odd and the lead coefficient is positive, as it goes left, it goes down. As it goes right, it goes up. So this is the end behavior of this graph. Okay? So, that's another thing to include on your note card for your test. Okay, so let's move on to number 7. Solve using synthetic division. Okay, synthetic division, you need to flip the sign, so 6. And then you need to write, you have 1x to the 4th, you have 0x to the 3rd, I have minus 8x squared, and I have plus 13x minus 12. Okay? So that 0, adding in that 0 is really, really important. Okay? So what I'll do right here is I'll just make a note, plus 0x to the 3rd. Okay? So at this point, all you need to do is carry this down. That's a 1. Multiply to the outside, that's a 6. Add. So that makes 6. Multiply to the outside, that's 36. 36 plus negative 8 is going to be 28. And then 28 times 6 is 168. So the numbers are getting kind of big here, but 168 plus 13 is 181, times 6 again is 1086. All right, 1086 plus negative 12 is going to get me 1074. All right, so everything goes down by a power. So this is my x to the third column, this is my x squared column, this is my x, this is my constant, and this is my remainder, all right? So I'm going to say my final answer is x to the third plus 6x squared plus 28x plus 181 plus 1074 over, what were you dividing it by? I was dividing it by x minus 6. And that's really all there is to it. Looking at number 8, you have to do long division. So long division, you have, well, we have x squared plus x dividing 2x to the fourth plus 3x to the third. If you see it skipping something, it's probably better to put a 0 in there as well. So plus 0x plus 5x minus 1. So the key is to focus on the outside terms. What's 2x to the fourth divided by x squared? That's 2x squared. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2x squared times x squared to get me 2x to the fourth. And then I'm going to do, so I did that. Then I'm going to do 2x squared times x, and that's going to give me 2x to the third. All right, and so I'm going to subtract. The first term should always cancel. Then you have 3x to the third minus 2x to the third, so that's x to the third. Bring everything else down, all right? So plus 0x squared plus 5x minus 1. So look at the outside terms. I have x to the third divided by x squared, so that's going to be x. So I'm going to multiply x times x squared plus x, so that'll give me x to the third plus x squared. Put it in parentheses, and let's see here. So the first term will cancel. That leaves me with negative x squared plus 5x minus 1. So I'm going to do negative x squared divided by x squared. So that's negative 1. Excuse me, by the way. And so that'll give me negative x squared minus x. All right. So first terms cancel. 5 minus negative x is 5 plus x, so that's 6x. And then negative 1 minus nothing is still negative 1. And so this is my remainder. All right, you know it's your remainder when you look at the top and went x squared x negative 1, so it counted down. So I'm going to say my answer is 2x squared plus x minus 1 plus, and then I'm going to go 6x minus 1 over x squared plus x, and that's it. Number 9, factor by grouping. Group the first pair together. What can you factor out of the first pair? That'll be x squared. What can I factor out of the second? If this is negative, make your greatest common factor negative. So I'm going to factor out a negative 25 from the second pair. So dividing x squared from x to the third leaves me with x, and minus 4 from minus 4x squared. And then it'll say minus 25 and divide each term by minus 25, so that'll leave me with x minus 4. So the key is you have the same thing in your parentheses. So now just write it all together. X squared minus 25 times x minus 4. And this is a difference of squares. So this becomes x plus 5 times x minus 5 times x minus 4. And that's it. I'm done with it. It really helps to know when you have a difference of squares or difference of 2 cubes or sum of 2 cubes, something like that. But yeah, it's over that quickly. Okay, so number 10, you need to do the finite differences. Okay, so I'm going to leave that to you to do. All right, I'm just going to tell you that it'll end up being the third degree. All right, which means it'll end up being cubic. Okay, And then the function part, you have to, it's in 5.9 notes, okay? So 5.9 notes, consult that. There's really a lot to say, and I can't really show you on this app anyway. But you should get for the function f of x equals, you'll get 1x to the third plus 9x squared plus 26x plus 24. And so typing that in and looking at your table, you know, Control T, when x is 8, you get 1,320, okay? And that's it. So I just want to point out one last thing. And that's anytime you want to check your work, use the graph. Here's number 1, okay? I typed in the original, I typed in my answer. You see you had these overlapping graphs. I could show you another picture. Let me pull up number 8, all right? Here's number 8. You see I have overlapping graphs. It's just such an easy way to check your work using that graphing calculator, plugging in your answers. Here's number 5. See how I have these purplish looking graphs? Yeah, plug it in, see if it overlaps. You know you did it right. That's all there is to say about that. Okay, hope this review helped. Don't forget to make notes in your note card, and good luck. Goodbye.